You and me stuck on the ocean now. Nothing but waves in this filling in. I wanna dry up, but you just keep on going, don't you?
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for the June 2023 market update. Wow, we have so much information to unpack. Super excited because there's just so much confusion going on right now, a lot of negative headlines, and we really want to let you know what's happening in the Southwest Florida real estate market.
Yes, indeed. So first of all, we're going to talk about what's going on nationally, guys. That's going to give you a better understanding when we dive into Southwest Florida and we break that down on a hyper-local level for you.
Exactly. If you find this information useful or you want to learn all there is to know about living here in Southwest Florida, things to do, places to go, things like that, you come to the right place. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell icon, and you'll be notified whenever we put out new content. And we'd be super honored if you would share it with someone else who you think would find it useful as well.
Yeah, so why don't we just jump right in?
Let's jump right in. So the first thing we want to talk about is mortgage rates or interest rates. And I think this has such a huge impact on what's happening in our real estate market. And a lot of people want to know why are interest rates so high? There's a lot of assumptions out there. Well, we're going to talk about why interest rates are so high real quick and what to expect going through the end of the year. So let's get right to it. Mortgage rates. First thing we want to talk about is what's happened, like give you a 50-year trend or look back in history 50 years and see what's happening to interest rates. Well, first thing to know is that interest rates come from, it's basically the 10-year treasury yield, and then there's a spread on top of that. That's the spread is what mortgage bankers put on top of the 10-year treasury yield interest rate, and that's based on risk.
Sure, that's gauging the risk, and you pay the associated rate that goes along with that, right?
That's right. More risk, you're going to want more of a return, and that's the way investors are. That's how investments work. Here's the important thing. If you look at this slide here, the average spread that investors wanted is 1.72% over the last 50 years, which is also, you'll hear it termed as 1.72 basis points. All right, so that's the last 50 years. Well, if you look at from January of this year through current this year, they've added 2.7% or wanted 2.7% on top of the 10-year treasury yield. And then through May 30th of this year, they've wanted 3.23% on top of that 10-year treasury yield, which has caused the interest rates to be quite a bit higher.
Yeah, so think about that for a second, guys. So it was stabilized over 50 years. Our economy saw a lot of ups and downs during that time, right? Look, just since January of this year to May, the numbers have just gone crazy.
Yep. So that's what took us almost to 7%. So here's a good quote from the chief economist at First American. He said that it's reasonable to assume that the spread and therefore mortgage rates will go down in the second half of the year if the Fed takes its foot off its monetary tightening pedal and provides investors with more certainty, right? Less risk. So, however, it's unlikely that the spread will return to its historical average of the 1.7 basis points or 1.7%, as some risks are here to stay. Expecting interest rates to go down, but they're not going to probably go down to what they were before. They're just expecting them to start easing up through the end of this year and into the first quarter of next year. So why are they so high? Here's a good way to look at it. If that economist is right, and let's say the interest rates go down to, that spread goes down to 2.25%, that means the mortgage rate would be 5.99%, right? That's all the way over here on the right. And then if they happen to go down all the way to 1.72% like they were, the normal spread, that means interest rates would be 5.37%.
Nice.
Yeah, what do you think that would happen to buyer activity though if they went to 5.37 or even below 6%?
It's probably going to jump back up.
Yeah, there's going to be probably a buyer frenzy, and depending on the market, right? A lot of markets will probably have buyers out the door lining up again, and we don't necessarily want the unicorn years again or what we're about to talk about, but we would like to see interest rates obviously ease a little bit.
Sure.
So that takes us to home prices, right? So we're seeing a lot of negativity when it comes to home prices, and the number one thing that we see is usually when they're talking about the median sales price, right? And here's a quote from Bill McBride. It says, median prices are distorted by the mix and repeat sales. And so indexes like Case and Shiller and FHFA are probably better for measuring prices.
Okay. So median sales price or median price is what we want to pay attention to here.
So Here's the thing about median price. Lona and I talk about median price in almost every market update video we do. And the reason we talk about median price is because we're looking at a trend over a longer period of time, years, right? It's not a good way to measure whether the market or home prices are going up or going down, right? So there's three main economists that we use, but I want to explain to you first a little bit more in depth about median sales price. And this is a good, simple way to explain it. If you had 3 coins in your pocket and you line them up in ascending value from lowest to highest, let's say you have 1 nickel and 2 dimes. Well, that means the median sales price is 10. The median is 10. If you had 2 nickels and 1 dime, that means that your median is 5 because you had 2 nickels and 1 dime. Another way to think about it, if we put houses in those places, if you had 2 $1 million houses and 1 $500,000 house, and those 2 $1 million houses sell, what's going to happen to the median sales price? It's going to be really high because, so what we're saying is, if we have 1 month, an abnormal month, and a lot of luxury homes sell, then our median sales price is going to go through the roof.
Right.
Or what's the exact opposite of that?
So if we had a month where a lot of homes sold for 5 cents or 500,000, that could make the median sales price appear to be lower than what it actually is.
Exactly. And that just so happens that we have a unique thing happening right now in Cape Coral and Fort Myers. It really ties into this, and I'm going to bring that home in just a second and make it make sense for you. So let's take an accurate look at what home prices are doing. So the 3 chief economists that we use, that's what we're going to talk about right now. And the first one is Case and Schiller. And if you look at this month over month percent change in home values, and you go back to January of 2022, you can actually see from this chart that home prices were really going up through June of 2022 per Case and Schiller. Right. And so as of June, that June was that last month. And then July, what happened? Home values started to decrease a little bit. And it happened for like 6 months there. And then what happened in February?
Yeah, they start going back up.
Yeah, they start going back up again. Let's take a look at the next economist, FHFA. What do they say? Well, they're looking at about the same data. They just look at it a little bit differently. And they also say that through June, home prices went up. And then July, they started to go down. And then there was kind of like right around the middle, not going up or down. And then they started to go up again. When? January, right? To the beginning of the year. So then the last one that we want to show you is CoreLogic. They say basically the same thing. From January through June, home prices going up, and then they start going down for 6 months, and then February, March, they start going up. So let's put all 3 of them together so that really make sense for you. That's what that looks like. They all pretty much agree that there was this period of time from July of last year through the beginning of this year that home values were going down, and now they're starting to go up again, right? The problem with this data is that it's a lagging indicator. In other words, they only have data through March, right? So it's happening from homes that have already sold. That's where they're pulling their data from. And that's the most recent data. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to put out a new report on the new data, and we'll be able to update you again. But that's as of right now. Lona and I is going to drill down locally, and we're going to give you more up-to-date data for our local market. So let's talk about the unicorn years.
Yeah.
What are the unicorn years? Unicorn years are what we consider Q2 of 2020 through the second quarter of 2022. And why we call them the unicorn years is because we're never probably going to see them again, and we never seen them up through that point in our real estate market history. Nothing has ever happened like it did in 2020 through 2022.
And those are also known as the pandemic years, guys. So
Exactly. And so when we're referring to the unicorn years, we're talking about that. And here's why that's important. When you look at headlines that you see in the news, home prices are dropping, homes are staying on the market, things like that, we're going to really compare it when we're talking about trending. First thing we're going to talk about is home appreciation. You're going to see headlines that say home values are not going up. Well, if you look at this chart right here, you can see that home values nationally went up 5% over the course of the whole year. If you add them all together, all the months, 5% home values went up nationally, right?
2022, yeah.
Yeah, is that as good as 2021 or 2020? The unicorn years? No, absolutely not. But is it better than a normal market in 2019, 2018, 2017? Yes, we're right there. It was better in 2019, equal to 2018, just a little bit less than 2017. So I would be happy with the 5%.
It looks like a normal, healthy market to me.
Exactly. And so now you'll see headlines about pending listings. you'll see headlines that say pending listings are down. Well, are they? Are they actually down? Because if you look at this slide, pending listings in 2023 per realtor.com was 460,276 listings. And yes, that's less than the unicorn years. But if you look pre-unicorn, you can see that we're right on track. A little bit less than 2020, but more so than 2019 on.
Right.
There seems to be more pending listings. The next headline you'll probably see is showing traffic. Oh, buyers aren't out looking at, there's no buyer activity, or buyer activity is way down, right? Is that true? I don't know. We look at showing time, and this says that's not true, because in 2023 per showing time, which is a system that realtors use to schedule showings, so it's not a lagging indicator, it's an indicator that's more current. There was 223,000 showings in 2023, which is less than the unicorn years, but a lot more than the pre-unicorn years.
For sure.
And then that takes us to median days on market, because you see headlines that say homes are sitting on the market a lot longer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the basis of it. Are they?
Things aren't selling.
Yeah,
right?
things are selling. Are they though?
Okay.
Because if you look at this, the median days on market for 2023 was 43 days, right? Per realtor.com, which is more than the unicorn years.
30 and 35 days?
When it was nuts, it was crazy. Yeah. But in 2020, we're way less, and we're still less than all the way back to 2017. Now let's just talk about that just for a quick second.
So homes are selling faster than they were from 2020 on before that, with the exception of the unicorn years.
Yeah, with the exception of unicorn years, exactly. And what's a great time, how many days is the optimal time to be on the market? Well, every market's a little bit different, but what I can tell you is you don't want your house to sell too fast, because that sometimes will make you feel like, I underpriced my house, right? And then you don't want it to sit too long, because then buyers start thinking something's wrong with the house, right? Or you're priced too high or something like that. So there's a middle point. 43 days is a good average time to sell.
It really is, guys. And this data is so important, because I think sometimes we have short-term memory, right? The last 2 years were a total anomaly, and each and every chart of data, even going back 7 years, shows that those were so unique that you can't just base what's going on this year compared to the last 2 years, because it just skews all of the numbers. So this really paints a really accurate picture of showing the health rating of our market right now.
Exactly.
Which is strong.
Yep. Another big headline that you're going to see is, there's a ton of homes for sale. Inventory is going through the roof. Yes. Right? And per realtor.com, again, if you look at that, 2023, there were 582,000 homes for sale as of these numbers coming out. And if you compare that to 2022, 479,000. Yes, we got more listings on the market than the unicorn years. Thank goodness. But if you compare that to the pre-unicorn years, we have way less. Look at this. 2020, 927,000 homes on the market, people.
Yeah, and then you go to less by half before that, 2019 on.
Yeah. So just looking at that, if a normal market, even on the low end, is 927,000 listings on the market, how do you feel about 582,000? There's not enough listings on the market still as of right now. Mm-hmm. That's one of the problems, which leads us to months of inventory. If no other homes are listed, new listings come on the market, how long will it take to sell everything that's on the market currently? That tells you how hot the market really is. And right now we're sitting at 2.9 months nationally, or right around there. And a normal market months of inventory is 6 months. We're right around that half point. And why 6 months? Because at 6 months, that's where buyers don't have an advantage over sellers, and sellers don't have an advantage over buyers. It's considered a balanced market. Mm-hmm. And then the last headline that you're going to see a lot of foreclosures, or foreclosures are going through the roof. Foreclosure filings are changing everything. And so if you look at this, there were 324,000 foreclosure filings, Liz Pendens, nationally. And if you compare that to the unicorn years, it's way more. It is way more. But one thing that you have to understand is that during the unicorn years, they had what's called a foreclosure moratorium. So they stopped foreclosures from happening. Understandably so. So many people got in, couldn't work.
Lost their livelihood.
All kinds of reasons, right? Couldn't work. And so the government stepped in and put that moratorium. But if banks aren't getting their money, they're going to foreclose at some point, right? we expected there to be more foreclosures than there actually is.
We expected to see a lot higher number than that, because if they couldn't foreclose for the last 2 years during the unicorn years, then all of those filings are backlogged, right? So we just expected to see them piled through the roof. So those numbers are actually good considering.
Yeah, way less than what happens normally. Let's dive into the local numbers here real quick and see what's happening there. So the first thing I want to show you is the market overview. So this will be of all 40 cities, and you can see that the median sales price for all the cities is $485,000. And if you compare that to, this is for May of 2023, if you compare that to May of 2022, the median sales price is down 3%.
Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy. So our market has went down year over year, right? Home prices did go down a little bit here, if you look at it that way. But if you look at it May of 2023 versus April of 2023, what happened to home prices?
Oh, they went up
5.4%. Exactly. They went up 5.4%. Now I want to show you something interesting. Well, actually, before I do that, let's go down the rest of the way here. You said listing, look at the list price received.
96.5%. So what does that mean, guys? That means that sellers are getting 96.5% of their list price or their asking price for the house. So, the headlines might be saying that prices are dropping through the floor and sellers are giving properties away. And this data shows that that's just not the case.
Yep. There were 2,113 closed sales. I'd point that out too. And then lastly, months of supply of inventory is 3.5 months for all of Southwest Florida. But there's something interesting, really interesting, that I need to show you. Remember when we talked about the definition of median sales price and how a bunch of luxury properties selling could affect it, or a bunch of low price properties get sold and they could affect it? Well, what happened in September of last year? We got hit by Hurricane Ian, right? And it damaged,
I think 20,000 properties were like a total loss. And then I don't know how many were damaged on top of that. I mean, really severely damaged.
Right. And don't hold us to those numbers, but there's been a lot. It's huge, right? So a lot of properties that are on the market right now, you still see the studs. Like there's no drywall. They've been gutted, because they got water in them, whatever.
Some structures are completely gone and they're selling the dirt now.
Yeah, exactly. And so what does that do? That when you put that structure on the market, it's going to sell for way less, right?
Because it's a distressed property now.
Exactly. And so when you got a lot of those distressed properties selling
at half of their value or something similar,
what's going to happen to the median sales price?
It's obviously going to show that it's down.
So including Cape Coral and Fort Myers, which is the areas that got hit the hardest, the median sales price is $485,000. We're down 3%. But what happens when we take out Cape Coral and Fort Myers? When you do that, what's interesting is the median sales price jumps up to $548,000, right? And then what happened when you compare it to last year?
It actually increased by 2.7%.
That's right. When a lot of the markets across the country were going down, we still increased in value. The median sales price still went up, and by 2.7%. Again, that's just a small trend there, but I'm going to show you some more trending here in just a moment. So that takes us to the next one. If we look at the median sales price from this angle and we go all the way back to January of 2016, you can see starting out at $485,000, what it is right now. What was it pre-pandemic? Let's go back to February 2020. It was $298,000 was the median sales price.
Right.
Guys.
Yeah.
$298,000 versus $485,000. That's a 39% increase from February of 2020 until today. Isn't that crazy?
Astronomical.
Right. So, and you can also see that was drastic. There's the unicorn years right here, right? When the home median sales price is jumping up, the home values went up through the roof. But if you go all the way back, you can see that prices are up and down. But if you look over at real estate over a period of time, it goes up, right? Mm-hmm. That's just what happens. We do have our down cycles, but for the most part, it goes up. So I think it's safe to say that values are going to continue to increase here in Southwest Florida.
Our market is strong. It has really shown stability throughout all of this. And yeah, definitely. I think that, we talk to buyers every single day and everybody wants those, pre-pandemic prices, and guys, those are gone. Just like we were talking about with the risk indicator on mortgage rates, some of those numbers or those pricings are just gone. And here's where we are now. I still believe that values are going to continue to rise. So if you're looking to buy something in this market, the time to start building equity in that property is now. And we have some solutions for you if you wanted to buy your retirement property now and put it in like a VRBO program or short-term rental. It can be paying for itself. And while you're using it, maybe make a little money off of it too.
Stay in it when you want, that type thing. We got several clients that do that. It's an amazing investment strategy. It can be. Everything has risk.
In fact, we have a video out there of one client that we helped. And so you can see, we put all the numbers and the data on that. So go check that out, guys.
Yes. And hopefully you found this valuable and useful. If you are, we do hear this a lot, if you are waiting for prices to come down, we don't think that they're going to come down. We think they're going to keep going up, not very fast, hopefully, not like the unicorn years, but they are going to continue to go up. So if you wait, I think in a few years, you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt thinking, I should have bought then. You don't know how many times we've heard that. I should have bought 5 years ago. I should have bought 5 years. Yes, you should have bought 5 years ago, right? It's easier. Once you get in, it's easier to trade up. So if you buy something that you don't necessarily want right now, you can trade it up in a couple of years once you get into the market. We can show you that too. Again, if you find this useful, please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell icon, and it'll notify you whenever we put out new content. I really appreciate you watching. I'm Doug Lugers.
I'm Lona Lugers.
Thanks for watching.
See you in paradise.
You and me stuck on the ocean now. Nothing but waves in this filling in. I wanna dry up, but you just keep on going, don't you?